Hi, everybody. Welcome back after a wonderful 100 years of Rudolf Steiner Conference at Harvard Divinity School. And it was such a marvelous success. And basically, I disappeared online for 3 days. And the Harvard Divinity Conference of Rudolf Steiner was absolutely fabulous. Now, before I get any further, I want to let you know that the not everything was recorded, but many were recorded, many presentations, and those recordings are going to be up for only 5 days. And that's already counting today, I think, is number one. But the other wonderful thing that Harvard did is they have an online art gallery, and that's not going to be up forever either, but it is up currently, and I will put the link in the vlog below. And this is my Sophia image that I did in Berkeley in the Deities, Dialogues, and Dreams Extraordinary Conversations with Ordinary People exhibition at JFK University in 2002. I must say, I feel very honored to be included, and it has brought up so many memories of working with the Sophia and creating art with a deity. That's actually was I curated this show, and I had two other gals who helped me with it. So they were my co-curators on this event. We did 4 earth art altars in the gallery, created individual pieces of art for our own altar for my piece, which was what I considered my graduation exhibit. So I must say, as an artist, the one of the last times I was in an exhibition in Canada, I had a 3 by 4 foot painting, and I had to ship it to Canada for an exhibition that was up for 2 weeks. It was not for sale, and it was going to be shipped back to me. And I had to pay import duties and export duties. And I had to have a crate built for it, a wooden crate. So it cost me $1,500 to be in that exhibition. So I am so grateful for these virtual art galleries. It saves a lot of postage and headaches for the artist. But there's nothing like being in front of a piece of art that you love. So this is my Sophia installation, the 5 years of study of good and evil. So this Sophia installation is about 5.5 feet high. She's sculpted and built on a wooden frame. This installation, we had a few weeks notice that we had the gallery for a very short time, maybe a 2.5 week run, and we had maybe a month to coordinate 11 or 12 artists to create a piece of art. Now, this exhibition was very different. This was a spiritual exhibition. It was done by artists who had had spiritual experiences. That was the format of this exhibition. So that's why it was called Deities, Dialogues, and Dreams Extraordinary Conversations with Ordinary People. I curated this exhibition. The format was very simple. Every artist got one piece of paper, 8.5 by 11, and they had to answer a number of questions. What happened to you? What was your spiritual experience? How did you handle your spiritual experience? Was the experience or the deity, because I called it the deity, did they give you instructions, give you a prompt? And remember, I had had a big or true dream in 2000 to leave everything, my practice, my partner, my beautiful house in Montecito, and give up everything on a true dream. And I went ahead and did that. And that wasn't willy-nilly, by the way. That took 6 months of, I had a lot of friends within the shamanic community, and I spoke to a Heyoka Apache shaman who also had been a priest. And I had a number of friends that I consulted about this. But eventually, of course, it's up to you, and you have to, as they say, put your money where your mouth is. If you're a dreamer and a dream teacher and instructed most of my life by true dreams or big dreams, and through trial and error, was I actually getting experiences that had meaning, that meant something, that were lawful, that actually led to something. And this is how I discovered I was a precognitive dreamer, which is actually impersonal. If you have a dream about the future and yourself, it's impersonal. It's what Steiner called karma arising. He called it etheric vision. We call it precognitions or premonitions. And there's a lot more I could say about this, Sophia, but I wanted to come in and just say thank you to Harvard and thank you for allowing artists to have an online exhibition. And I want to talk a little bit about the Sophia because this is a book I'm writing and about this experience because Steiner talks about art he calls it the third realm, which I just love. The third realm, because we have our consciousness and we have the whatever we're working on, the substrate, but we also have this other space, which we could call our will in action or our consciousness over the threshold talking to the deity. In this case, these artists who are in the Deities, Dialogues, and Dreams exhibition, and that is still online. I'll put the link below as well so you can take a look at it. And these artists were touched by something extraordinary. And typically, most of us have these experiences. And they either come like a lightning bolt, which is pretty obvious, or they come in a life crisis, which is also obvious. And it could be in a near-death experience, which is also obvious that, you almost die and you have an extraordinary experience and usually cross the threshold and meet spiritual beings. But this can happen also in people's normal life. Something extraordinary shears into your life and you expand at a moment or an adventure or a certain time frame, or you get, sort of the hand of God pointing, go this way, go this way. And so the question to the artist was, were you scared? How did it make you feel? Were you in resistance? Did you follow through on the prompt or you should do this or you could do this or whatever the picture was, or if it was audio, and then make a piece of art about it. Now, this wasn't just art making from an artist who had a spiritual experience, and they're going to make a piece of art about this spiritual experience. So what Rudolf Steiner recommends, not for every piece of art, but he recommends that you quiet your will nature. I want to do this. I want to do that. Oh, I'm going to do it this, and I'm going to do it in this. And oh, I know what I can do. And I'm going to journal, and I'm going to write. And I'm going to do. Yeah, all that is fabulous enthusiasm, creativity. I got to do this. It's just living in me. And it can be very difficult to set aside this enthusiasm just for a time to quiet. This is a mindfulness training, by the way, which is also in How to Know Higher Worlds, A Modern Path of Initiation by Steiner. So the artists did this according to their nature and whether they thought that this motif or this theme or this direction was valid for them in their character development, because some artists were very mature in their spiritual development and in their I being, in their who they are, and they understood the difference in this, and some were not, and that's okay. There wasn't a judgment in it, but they accepted the premise of this, and they went ahead and did these marvelous pieces of art, and there was no constriction on size. And Mary McCulloch, which you'll see, who worked for Lucasfilm and helped so much setting up this gallery space, she did. Mary had done, I had advertised in, I think it was Common Ground magazine, my shamanic doll class. And I got 3 gals, and one of them was Mary McCulloch. And Mary blew her mind. She was already on her own shamanic path. I'll drop photos in the podcast as I go on. But remember, if you're listening to the podcast, you're not going to be seeing these fabulous photos. So I really encourage you to sign up for the vlog so that you can listen as a podcast and take a look at the images that I put in. So Mary tells me that I actually challenged her on her doll that she wanted to make, which was the Great Mother, to go life size. Now I don't remember that, but when you're working with somebody, you're sort of living into them. And Mary had been in my shamanic class, and she was a co-curator for the deities exhibition. We couldn't have done it without her. And when you bring people in a group, the synergy changes and gets bigger, and so much more can be done. I really miss being in that Berkeley community and having everything at our fingertips, the gallery, the tools, the advisors, the video. So using this prompt from Rudolf Steiner, which is to quiet the ego, to contact the spiritual worlds, which is exactly what my father had taught me using Steiner's methodology for esoteric dream work, was that if you're ripe, RIPE, the spiritual worlds will give you a picture or an audio or the next step when you wake up, because waking up is the holy moment. And this entire Sophianic exhibit is based on asking a question at night, which is exactly what my father, who was an anthroposophist, taught me. And he left Germany when Hitler was rising to power. And waiting when you wake up to see if you receive anything. Because if you don't, there's another question or you're not ready. But we were actually on a deadline. So that creates an inner fire that we didn't have a lot of time. And I'm so grateful for what happened, because I'm going to be totally honest with you. I didn't understand what was happening in an anthroposophical context for about 10 to 15 years, because I had, at this time, not even entered the anthroposophical community. I was just studying Steiner again, having grown up with it, because my father and mother studied Steiner. So I was still a newbie, but it was frankly holding a measuring tape up to what I experienced and what Steiner talked about that I discovered over the next 20 years that was absolutely right on, because I experienced it before I read it, which bolted in. And as you know, I studied many, many different traditions, religions, indigenous, cross-cultural. Michael Harner, who I trained with in the Foundation of Shamanic Studies, said, if we're doing our job right, meaning the Foundation of Shamanic Studies, if we're doing our job right, Michael said, you will be called to your true path. And we were in heaven with Michael anyway, because he was giving us death and rebirth rituals over a period of 3 to 5 years. So we were in an extraordinary state of becoming and having to let go and dissemble and dismember old parts of ourselves all the time and keep going forward in life. And this is when I hit Berkeley, JFK, John F. Kennedy University. I was wide open. I had a tremendous amount of fire and inner courage and inner creativity. So I would ask a question, what do you look like? Because I was studying cross-cultural sacred iconography. That's what I got my master's in. So I was studying the Tara, I was studying the Kuan Yin, I was studying the Shekinah, I was studying Buddha and Christ and various deities in Hinduism. I have books on sacred art from India and who the artists are and how they work. I was reading about Tibetan priests and how they were doing the mantra mandalas, the beautiful sand paintings. So I was immersed. And I was also, just because I wasn't raised religious, remember, I didn't know a thing about the Catholic Church. And oh my God, I discovered the Catholic Church. I had been to Rome. When I was 21, 22, 23, I had gone to save my money and gone to Europe. But I only went to Europe to see all the art galleries. I wanted to see the art. So I wasn't didn't really understand Rome and the Vatican, except I was just really miffed that they had more sarcophagi than Egypt had, because I got my butt to Egypt too, because man, I love Egypt. But anyway, I'm digressing. I was absolutely in love with the divine feminine. Who are you? What do you mean? Are you everything to every woman because you have beautiful different faces? You see those beautiful Buddhas, which I can still not pronounce, Avalokiteshvara, where he's got 400 faces, 400 arms, all those bodies moving. So you see that it's not one, God is not one. God is a multiverse. So how was I going to do a Sophia face? One Sophia face that's still, that's not moving, it's not animated. I was not anywhere near video for another 25 years. So what do you look like? What do you look like? What do you look like? And when I woke up, I saw this face. Boom. And now I would say that's an anthroposophical face. I even at the time said, yeah, it sort of looks like an anthroposophical face. So it is a face that looks, I must admit, somewhat like me. And she has a red diamond on the front. She's got a red diamond on her face. She's got a dark indigo blue face. And on the side of her head are spears of gold. And I heard in an auditory sentence when I woke up, and it was looking at this face. The red symbolizes the purified passion of the student. The blue in the face represents or indicates or points to the devotion of the student. And the golden, I think there's 3 golden spears on the side of her head on each side. So there's 6, is the holy wisdom beginning to bloom within the student or the Sophia being. And then I had to make the face. And Sculpey. The head's made of Sculpey. And I have hand-blown glass eyes because, of course, I'm a doll maker and know how to do all that. So she has hand-blown glass blue eyes. And so I made the face and a little neck. And what was I gonna? What was her body? What was she gonna be? Was I gonna make a big old doll and stuff her and stand her up in a corner? What? And so the next question that came about naturally was, what is your gesture? What is your gesture? My whole life, when I do a painting, because I'm a figurative artist, I got into abstract later in life. Whatever the energy of my painting was, I would try to embody it. So the gesture of the Sophia was a big deal. This wasn't just a simple, easy question. This was loaded with energy. And gosh, I got to do it right. I have to stand up in front of the spiritual worlds, and I have to sort of stand up for this. This is going to be my graduate show. What are other people going to think? Okay, so I saw this gesture, which of course reminds us Christ on the cross. But when I saw this gesture, I also saw myself holding these beautifully sculpted white hands. And the hands actually are white and they're made of paper clay. And I had a candle in front of me. I was holding these hands and I was putting the hands through the smoke. There was black smoke from the candle hitting the paper clay hands and smoking them. So you can see the hand, let's see, can you see it? You see the hands are smoky. That's the smoke from the candle that I saw precognitively that I made. This is what working over the threshold with the deity means. I know this is a big deal, but this is what Hilma af Klint was doing as well. This is what Steiner did. This is what many artists have done. And frankly, many Christian iconography artists who would have been called heretics and burned at the stake had the church known what they were actually telling us. And if you learn to read a painting, or if you learn to read a sculpture, the images are filled with information and healing for the viewer. To this day, So I'm a fashion designer, so I've had a fashion shop for over 20 years. So I love fabric. So I did a very simple, she's actually, the arms are on, we had no money, by the way. The arms are a broomstick, and it's a CD wooden, let's put this big, a wooden, I don't know, CD holder. And I drilled a hole for the neck, put a peg in it, put her head on, a hole through the CD, and the broom handle arms with the hands fitting on it. And then I could drape it in fabric. And I also cut in the center another area in the chest that has another Sophia. And this is pointing to a theologian in the 5th century said there's 3 Sophias. So I was also in love with the Christian priests and nuns. And some of the stories, one of them was a priest that would get up in the morning and walk through the village begging for money. And he'd say to the villagers, what good? What good are you going to do today, friend? That was it. What good are you going to do today, friend? So this is a theologian, Theodore, from the 5th century. There are 3 Sophias, one through whom we are gifted with understanding, reason, and knowledge of what is to be done, through whom we practice art, pursue science, and know God, another who is seen in creation, and a third who appeared in our Redeemer, which unbelievers call foolishness. Theologian Theodore, 5th century. You walk through, it's a performance. You are actually the performance. You walk through the veils of the virtues and vices, and you pull aside the curtain, which is a transparent veil of color in a darkened room, and you see the Sophia before you. And at her feet, the Sophia is, and at Sophia's feet are these altar icons. When people saw these in Berkeley, many people fell in love with them, but also some people got mad at me. They said, we didn't come to Berkeley to look at Christian art. Well, I was in another world, and this is where I was going, which from being a shaman to doing Christian iconography was not on my books either. But being open as an artist and following the tracks of my inner journey and what is it that I was called, what was it that I was in love with, I created these altar icons. Most of these have sold, and they're from, I don't know, 13 inches to 2 feet, I think the tallest. And you can see my love of fashion design. You can see my love of fabric. You can see my love of texture and color on color and textures and fabric that has a luminosity. And gosh, I wish I could show it to you. I've sold so many of them. I don't have them, but I would get the netting, that they stick in those crinoline skirts, and I'd do just the square of netting over one of the doll's faces so that she's like, you have to lift the veil to actually see the face. And this is a class I'll be teaching in 2026. So do sign up at Christina West Art. I'm opening a membership, and it's going to be a wild ride. Ain't nobody doing nothing like what I'm going to be bringing down the chute. It's a shamanic sacred arts class and training. So these altar icons were at the feet around my Sophia. And the Sophia, being 5 feet, had these little tiny dolls, and I had Gregorian chants, and I had candles lit all over. Because remember, the room was pitch black, and Mary had done one pin light on my Sophia. And there is a spiritual story that I can't go into at this point, which is what this whole installation was based on. But I think that's enough for now. I just want to give you a sense of what you can do as an artist working with something that means a lot to you, which can be a story, an experience, something that you want to bring out of the body and into form. And this is really an act of magic, and it's women's magic. And I'm going to stick with that because this really is women's magic. We have been working with shuttles and weaving and fiber and textiles and washing clothing and cooking throughout time. And now women are rising into their full empowerment. And I'm watching it happen. We're like popcorn all over the world. So the time is now, women, to bring your creative gifts out to the world. And there's so many varieties of creative gifts. It isn't just painting on canvas or doing dolls or needlework. It's felting, it's podcasting, it's creating gardens, it's gifting, it's making presents, it's creating an environment that's beautiful so that when people come into it, their whole body relaxes. But it's also found objects and collage and mark making and color harmonies. And you can create art to wake up people or to wake up yourself. You can create art to bring healing to yourself, to bring a focus for something that you do in a rhythmical way every day, a little of this, or like a meditation. There's millions of ways to work with art that aren't really taught or talked about online, but every woman is a good witch. I don't work with bad witches. And I'm here to help empower you and to ignite your creative juju in however form that takes. And I've been talking to a lot of artists recently who are so in love with the idea of doing something a little deeper that has more meaning to them than just sort of not superficial, but surface art that is they're learning techniques or learning how to do something. But how do you do within that context countless ways to do art? To pick something that you would like to work on that has great meaning and do some research and build your energy, which is called the cone of power, and create something. So I'm going to be opening a membership in January after Olaf closes, but I don't want to go into that too much because we have Olaf Ostesen coming up. And Olaf opens the 24th. I'm getting signups now. And remember, you can only do Olaf Ostesen during the Holy Nights. It's the only time. So I will put the link for Harvard Divinity University online gallery at the bottom of this vlog, and also the link for Olaf, because do sign up. Doing Olaf Ostesen with us is taking a poem and working that poem artistically over the blessed holy nights. And it's a spiritual initiation that you are doing for yourself, with yourself. It is a dedication to something, to a higher development over the holy nights, which are seeded for your next year in 2026. Olaf, but this is just to say thank you to over 1,600 people who viewed the vlog on Harvard and Rudolf Steiner's conference, but also the many, many emails and people signed up for Olaf. So I guess it's my coming out party in a way that I've been a bit hidden online. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy viewing the deities, dialogues, and dreams. And I have to say, this art is not what you call perfected art. We had a very short timeline, and it was unbelievable, the opening. People came in and, for the most part, started sobbing. They said that this was what they were waiting for in Berkeley, that it was it was art made with a spiritual intention. And there was a Yoko Ono show at the MoMA, and sorry, Yoko, but they said this was so much better. It was so healing. Every room was saturated with color and love and altars and art and stories of how profoundly these deities or experiences had affected the artist and how they created art from it. And don't worry, there's a lot more to be said about the deities. I'll be doing vlogs on that. But this is just to say thank you to Harvard. I couldn't find the links for the recordings, and I emailed Harvard. I said, could you put that in your opening email to all of us? The next day, bing, it's in the opening email. Click here. You can see what they did record is very easy to identify. It's fabulous. And they gave us artists an online art gallery. And there's many more artists that are in this. So please take your time and take a look. And if you go to the Deities, Dialogues, and Dreams, send me an email or what do you think of it? Leave comments below in the vlog in this podcast. Gosh, I hope I didn't forget anything. But anyway, I probably did. Don't forget Olaf Ostesen opens ChristinaWestArt.com. Today is the 18th. It opens the 24th. The doors close, and you cannot join us late. So be aware. Sign up for Olaf. You'll get a affirmation email that you're in and that everything will be sent to you. Typically the 23rd or the 24th. The links in the private classroom. And also, thank you, Harvard. Thank you, Harvard. Thank you, Harvard. Thank you, Harvard. Thank you, Rudolf Steiner. Thank you for everybody that organized this marvelous and also to give the artists a chance to also be seen virtually. Christina West signing off. Let's get creative.